Hey, welcome back to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. Man, am I glad to be back in the room. Yes, hadn't heard my own theme song in a minute. It feels great to hear it and slip into that vibe of this sacred space. I hadn't lit my favorite candle in a long time from Harlem Candle Company, Josephine. Man, sometimes your life and your schedule takes you away from those things that nurture you and empower you and strengthen you and encourage you, and you have to find your way back. And so I'm excited that I'm able to find my way back to the room. So welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. It's been 3 Mondays, maybe more, where I've been on travel. My schedule has been a little busy, but I'm not complaining about that. And just needed to take a moment for some of the holidays, and got to celebrate my birthday all month long, and took some time to absolutely do that. So I'm excited to be back in the room, whether you're with me live or you're watching on the replay. I'm grateful that you shared this sacred space with me, for this is a place where you can find all things midlife enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife. It's open to all women, but this particular focus for the enlightened woman and Mondays in the meditation room is for Black women to address and empower and enlighten and encourage, because there are scientifically um, researched facts that as women of color, and in particular women of African descent, Black women, we experience this season of midlife, this season of the change, the transition, the transformation, whatever you want to call it, during perimenopause, menopause, and post-menopause. We experience it differently. For one, it is longer, and sometimes the symptoms are a little bit more severe. So we're talking about the symptoms that sometimes start earlier, just like women, young girls of color, experience the onset of their menses a little earlier than others. And when we get ready for this particular rite of passage and transition, we often experience it longer. It can go anywhere from 5 to 10 years. And for us, that means it could go a little bit longer. And guess what? There are some sisters out there who are blessed to not really go through it severely, or for some, not at all, or they don't really have the tools to acknowledge it or recognize it as such, and don't have the tribe, right, that's talking about it, because most of us are not talking about it. But can I tell you, since we've been talking about it over the last 5, 6 years, there's been a boom of persons, of women talking about menopause, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and women saying that the conversation has not been had. There has not been much support for women as they go through it. Over 1 billion women by 2025, 2030 will enter into this amazing season of their lives. And there hasn't really been much research until of late. There hasn't really been much support medically, emotionally, for women. But the tide seems to be changing, and there are stars who are pooling their money together, coming up with new companies to address the symptoms for women. Even Oprah Winfrey, under her, I think it's a subscription based kind of thing that where you can have access to videos and things like that. Now she's even talking about it. And so what we've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 years in Enlightened Women, there are other women, there are podcasts now, there are more books. When I first wrote my book, some 3, 4 years ago, I was only able to really, especially dealing with Black women, reach out and remember one book that was very helpful to me, and I'm so grateful for it. Matter of fact, what I think I'm going to do soon is submit and share with you a book list, things that we can read, podcasts, organizations that have come about and is helping us navigate this season. So, hey, if you're on live, come on, give me some feedback. Let me know you're online with me tonight. Or if you're watching in on a replay, go ahead and still put comments in there and let's share our thoughts. We actually learn and walk through this together. So I'm excited. So if you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. This is where you can find all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife, where we are redefining, reimagining, and allowing ourselves to have a rebirth of sorts in this season, that we might come through it the most confident and assured and healthy holistically as we can possibly be. Isn't that good? That's a good thing. Hey, Reverend Sandy, so glad you are with me on tonight. I'm promising myself that I'm not going to hang out too late tonight. Had to jump in and do some grandparenting support to our daughter today. She had jury duty, as one of my grandgirls called it. She has duty. She was like, that's a whole nother story. So I'm grateful that we had the flexibility to be able to help them and to spend some time with our oldest grand, who turned 9 years old today. Woo, shout out to Tahila Brittany Jade, who just turned 9 on today. So it's been a great, eventful day. Um, but I didn't get a chance to do my normal workout. So I'm promising myself, soon as I get out of the room, I will stay right here and get my cardio workout on. And I usually like to do my Kukua African Fitness. I just absolutely love that. I'm going to do that for a bit. Even if I can't do it as long as I normally do, I just want to make sure I do it. Movement helps. Matter of fact, that's a great segue into our topic on tonight. We're talking about, am I the only one? Hmm. Emotional wellness during the change. Am I the only one? Emotional wellness during the change. Now, I know last month was a mental health awareness month, and we covered some creative modalities to help us thrive through this season of midlife, dealing with perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And we talked about hiking, we talked about the scents, right? SCENTS, how certain scents can affect your mood and how you're feeling and make you feel better. Right, we talked about meditation, the power of meditation, creative modalities to help us with our mental health. And how about it doesn't just stop when the Mental Health Awareness Month is over, it still continues, right? And so, even though I've been away for a few Mondays, I really wanted to take a moment to talk about, am I the only one? Emotional wellness during the change. I decided to use that because, back in the day, and in covert language, right, in woman speak, that is the term for this midlife change, this perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And let me just stop to say parenthetically that menopause is real. It's not just in your head. And even though a doctor, even your GYN, may not be able to give you the support you need, there are doctors who are now being trained specifically in the area of menopause. Matter of fact, there are several women who have literally opened up a new health care, and I think it's called Mid Health or Midway Health. I have to look it up and post it so that we can have it as one of our resources. Their whole focus is the holistic remedy and support for women in midlife dealing with perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. So, menopause is that season in your life. It is that time. Well, let me break it down this way. Perimenopause actually is the season in your life that can start as early as 35, because there are many women who have started it early. But they would like to say that it happens anywhere between 40 and 45, where your body begins the journey towards menopause. And menopause is that moment when you've had 12 consecutive months of not having your cycle. And when that day happens, which is really just one day, right? That's menopause. Menopause technically lasts one day. All that time leading up to that one day, after you realize that it's been 12 consecutive months without a cycle, right? Then that's menopause. And then you are in postmenopause. So it's usually signified by uh, a plethora of symptoms. Just to name a few, is changing of your skin, whether it's dry, begins to get crepey or itchy, thinning of your hair, hair growing in places it doesn't normally grow, fatigue, insomnia, brain fog, and even I heard like itching in within the ears that kind of mimic um, not asthma, it mimics allergies, digestive issues, weight gain, and particularly around your gut area. Um, and I mean, if you're watching live, go ahead and put some maybe that I may have forgotten. But all of those things can happen during perimenopause. And one of the other things that can happen is what I want to talk about tonight is emotional challenges, right? Sometimes what I called it today is the menopause blues or the change blues, where emotionally it's not just physical, but it's also emotional, right? Can I get a witness? It's not just the physical, but it's also emotional, because you are also going through so much internally as a part of the change. And sometimes that gets overlooked because we're so overwhelmed with what's going on with us physically. And then I forget to say heart palpitations. Many women end up in the ER or going to see their doctors because they think they're having a heart attack or something is going on with their heart, right? Their digestive system is all out of whack. So they're going to see their gastroenterologist because they can't eat what they used to be able to eat, and they don't enjoy what they used to be able to enjoy because it bothers us. So there's so many things that's happening physically that we can begin to ignore or not pay attention to what's going on with us internally, emotionally, right? And so I just wanted to make sure we talked about that for a few moments. Hey, my niece Danny, Coach Danny, y'all have to follow her. Um, yes, you have to. Danny's Brook, and she does the Tipsy Tuesdays, and is it Mindful Monday, Danny? I can't remember, y'all. She is a health coach. She is just doing wonderful things, running. She is now a runner, training for marathon. I'm just so proud and inspired by her. So follow her on IG and on Facebook. It will help you as well. Now, what I want to talk about today is what happens also for us emotionally and mentally during this change. And can I say, there is, even though we talked about the definition of perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, it shows up differently for so many women, because some women are thrown into it because of fibroids, which is also something that plagues women of color more than any other of our sisters. We deal with fibroids and all of those things that begin to happen. And sometimes women have to have surgery to include hysterectomies, um, which can plunge them into menopause, especially if that has been a complete hysterectomy, meaning they've removed your ovaries. If they've removed your ovaries and your uterus, you may be plunged directly into menopause, right? Or there can be other things. You may have to be on medication and things that might cause it. And then some women, as I mentioned earlier, start much earlier. And so there are so many variables as to what that means, because for some of us, including me, I've had a hysterectomy, so I can't judge uh, that by the cessation of my menstrual cycle, because even though I had a hysterectomy, it was super cervical, so I still have my cervix and I still had my ovaries. And so I was still dealing with the ups and downs of a cycle without the the actual bleeding and menstruation. So that women are coming into this season with all kinds of situations and circumstances, and it can all affect how we manage it emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And I do not want you to overlook it or push it to the side or press it down and not deal with it. Right? Right. Then you say, yes, mindful eating Monday. Yes, that is so good. We're going to come back to that as well because it relates to us on tonight. Sandy says, at one point, I thought I lost my joy. I didn't know it was associated with the life change. Yes. Thank you so much for saying that, because that is the other point that I wanted to bring up, that we focus so much on the physical symptoms that is happening to us, and we don't realize that it is also a part of it. Yes, even anxiety, depression, suppressed emotions can happen as a part of this season, this change. And that can, you can see it with signs of what I mentioned before: anxiety, restlessness, insomnia, feeling a sense of sadness, right? Sandy just said, I thought I lost my joy. What was going on? Yes, right? And when we talk about depression, it is a big levels and different types. But I just want to speak generally. I'm not trying to uh, diagnose anybody, anything. We're just having a conversation. And I'm saying to you, as a disclaimer, please make sure you go see a professional, right? If after we spend our time together today, you feel like this may be you, right? So, depression, and we're talking about emotional wellness during the change. And so, when you just, you know, anecdotally talk about depression, we're talking about a mood disorder, or how you're feeling. Moods are how you feel, right? And it can show up at varying degrees of sadness, even to despair, loneliness, right? That's typically accompanied by inactivity, means you just don't have the energy or the desire to do the things that you used to do or even want to do, right? You might feel a sense of guilt even as a result of not feeling like doing those things, or a sense of guilt because you're looking back over your life and You're wishing you had done this, or wishing you had not made that decision, and you're second guessing it because you are concerned about where you are. You may be concerned that you're not where you want to be, financially or relationally or health wise, all of the above, right? And those things can plague you, right? And they can also cause irritability. You know, the people that say, "Ooh, don't bother her right now," right? Irritability, right? Loss of concentration. That's that what we call that brain fog, right? Social distancing. You want to be by yourself, and this big one that's a part of it is grief. Wow. See, the issue with that one is that we often associate grief with the loss or the physical loss of a loved one, a friend, which is also a part of this season. Because even though people have been passing away all of our lives, there's something about when we get into midlife, we're more attuned and in tune to it, because many of our parents are passing away. Sometimes our siblings, older, our friends are passing away, right? And it makes us aware of our own mortality. And we sometimes begin to think of that. We may get diagnoses in this season of our lives that can be frightening, right? And so we're grieving the loss of parents, grandparents, the loss of a way of life, right? We may be grieving the loss of ourselves, and we don't even know how to articulate that because our bodies are different, right? And so we might be grieving. Did I say hair thinning and hair loss? All of those things that we may have found our identity in. We may have be preparing to retire, and that might be a great thing. But can I tell you, there are many midlifers who retire and then go into a depression because their brains have been wired uh, to do a certain thing a certain way for so long, then all of a sudden you're no longer doing that. Your brain is trying to figure out, and your emotions are trying to figure out, what do I do with myself now? And it might be a little precarious before it gets better. Whew, and can I tell you, men in particular really suffer from that and grieve once they retire. And sometimes many men end up getting sick and passing away because they have placed so much of their identity and who they were in what they did. Right, that's what who they were, and so many of us we're grieving because we're trying to figure out what's going on with our hair, what's going on with our bodies, and even if you absolutely don't even want any more children. You're not even thinking about having any more children. But the thought that you can no longer, your body is no longer doing what it needs to do to allow you to have children, if you still have your uterus, you will still be grieving that. And so we need to widen our definition, widen our thoughts about what grief is, right? And do not underestimate the impact of grief in this season, because you are literally going from one season and way of being to another. The goal is to acknowledge that this is also a adventurous, a exciting, a time of freedom for women, right? This is when most women come into their own. They are feeling themselves. They're they are their most creative. I'm saying they, like I'm not one. We are, right? Our most creative in this season, and not for those who are in post-menopause and you're no longer having your cycles, you're not worried about getting pregnant again and all of those things. So the prayer is, right, what was one of the symptoms I didn't list, right? Sometimes you have low libido, and so you're working towards reigniting that during that season. But somebody say the bridge. Before we get there, we have to manage the emotional fallout in between, right? Because we're no longer where we were, and we're not yet where we're gonna be on the other side. Excuse me, bless me. And so, really, midlife and this change season is like the bridge. It's the bridge, that season that causes this disequilibrium and this unsettled place that can affect us emotionally is like a bridge. What is a bridge? It is that thing that connects one place to the other, but it's taking you over something or through something. Well, that's a tunnel. Right, but a bridge is taking you over water, since we can't technically walk on water, or it might be too far for us to swim through. We trying to get to the other side. This midlife season, this perimenopause, this uh, season before we're postmenopausal is like a bridge, and it can be a very frightening place because you're trying to figure out who you now are, and it can create emotional triggers and issues, right? Whew. You are losing yourself as you knew her, but you're also finding yourself. That season in between losing yourself and finding yourself can be challenging, right? Between what was and what is to come. And the challenge is navigating that bridge. Woo, been there doing that. I wish I could say been there, done that, but I'm been there doing that, right? And here's some things I want us to leave this time together with, right? One, acknowledge it. If, like Sandy was so brave enough to share with us, I thought I was losing my joy. I think that's what she said, right? And that's the other thing, right? I need my glasses, and I had to literally. I just had another eye appointment the other day, and my doctor was like, "Yep, we need to change your prescription. It needs to be a little bit stronger." And I was like, "Oh my god, what else?" Right? And she was saying, there's just a hint of some film. I was like, "Ooh, mm, don't you want to talk to me about cataract?" She was like, it's just, and sometimes I forget that I have been blessed to be here 60 plus 1 years. And those are the things that we don't often talk about, because the culture that we're in really tries to get us to fight um, becoming more mature and wise. And if we spend so much time trying to fight it, trying to turn back the hands of time to live in an era that we cannot really live in, and instead of embracing it, it makes it harder. Right. And so I had to just remind myself of where I was in that, and in this season of my life, and to begin to embrace it. And you'll begin to see in wellness spaces, the talk is really about aging well, maturing well, if we embrace it. So that's one of the things I want to have us to embrace on tonight, and talk about us as we navigate our emotional wellness in this bridge season of our lives, is to acknowledge it. Acknowledge what you're feeling, acknowledge what you're going through, acknowledge your emotions and your mood. Acknowledge it if you're feeling a little sad, if you're feeling a little off, if your joy seems to have a slow leak, if you can't seem to concentrate or focus, if you have the urge to cry often. And don't forget, part of what's happening with us in this perimenopausal season is that our hormones are fluctuating and really decreasing. The estrogen that we needed as we were growing in that other building, birthing stage, is no longer need. Our body is doing what God created it to do, and it's shifting. And so that lack of estrogen, even progesterone, even testosterone, um, those upheavals in your hormones can make you also emotional, but it can also cause you to feel weepy, right? To cry, feel like you want to cry. Well, acknowledge it. Don't ignore it. Don't push it down. Don't try to suppress it. Don't do spiritual override and try to say just pray about it, don't speak to it, declare it, forget it, sling oil and act like it's not happening. You can do all that, but can I tell you, what you're going through is also spiritual and sacred, and so you should honor it and not try to pretend like it's not happening and press it down and get spiritual and throw scriptures at it and act like you're not supposed to be going. God created us to go through this season. It's how we decide to go through it that matters. So the first thing you need to do is acknowledge it. And when you acknowledge that you are struggling a little bit emotionally, psychologically, your moods are here, there, and everywhere, just acknowledge that that's it. Because one of the things I heard a spiritual teacher say, that we suffer when we try to not accept what is. That suffering is refusing to accept what is. Woo. So don't prolong or magnify what you're going through by pretending like you're not going through it and not seeing it as a spiritual journey, because it is. So acknowledge it. If you're a little weepy, don't apologize for it. Just go ahead, find you some place where you want to be, get you some tissues and release it, because tears are also cleansing, right? Go ahead and do that. Acknowledge it and embrace this journey, right? Then be okay with it. Once you acknowledge it, then be okay with it and embrace it as a spiritual journey as you are going through, right? Someone's sharing with us, but okay. Right? It is real. Those moments I have learned to acknowledge, no longer masking it. I need a moment. There it is. We talked about that not too long ago in Mondays in the Meditation Room. Be okay with giving yourself a moment. Give yourself a moment. Don't forget or underestimate that you've been living a lot. You've lived a lot of life to get to this point. You've been through some things. You've grown through some. You've survived some things, and sometimes those emotions are still pent up in your cells, in your body, in your muscles. It's still within. And can I tell you, midlife is absolutely the time where that stuff hits the fan. When you hit the wall and that stuff comes out. It's gonna come out one way or other. But can I tell you, midlife is the time when that stuff comes out. So allow it. Sometimes your tears, sometimes whatever you feeling is pent up, backed up emotions. Those times when you allow life and other people and misguided expectations to silence your voice, and you didn't use your voice, believe me, just because you didn't use your voice, your body, your mind, your emotions registered it, and sometimes it comes out. So acknowledge it. What? Be okay with it, and then have compassion for yourself, caring for yourself, and nurturing. Just like you nurture other people, just like you care for other people, just like you drop everything and run to your good girlfriend or your family member when they're going through all of that attention and intention that you give to others. This is your season to give it to yourself. Yes, find that thing that comforts you. If it's a cup of tea, if it's your favorite robe and some fuzzy slippers and some socks and pajamas that you wouldn't wear out in public and a warm blanket, whatever it is, give yourself that special treatment that you would give others. Nurture yourself. Give your body rest, your mind rest. So show compassion, right? Stop being so judgmental about yourself, being angry with yourself because you don't have it all together and you don't whatever. Let that go, right? Be caring and nurturing. Then get the support you need. If you need some support, get it. Find and call some good girlfriends over and just talk. Get you a glass of wine or a glass of juice or some water with some lemon and lime in it. Amen. It don't have to be any alcohol because sometimes alcohol exacerbates it. I know red wine is supposed to be good for you, but still at this season, we're going to talk about that too. Hey, Danny, if Coach Danny is still on, we're going to talk about that. Find other ways like some chamomile tea or some ginger tea, whatever it is that will help your body relax. Do that. Get the support you need. Get a circle of friends around you and just have a night where you are there for one another. Right? Get the support. You may have to get some professional support. You may have to go to therapy, right? You may need a coach. You need something, but do get some support as you go through this, right? Get my book that's supportive, that helps. The Enlightened Woman. Get that and follow me on IG and Facebook as we continue to talk about it. You do not need a superwoman cape on during this season. You need help. And don't feel like you're too weak or you're bothering somebody or whatever. Step outside of your comfort zone so you can get some comfort. Yeah. That's good. Professor would say, yes, we need the community. Absolutely. We are a communal people as African American people, people of color. This is what we do. We made the mistake and took on a whole lot of Western ways before, and we are own rugged individuals pulling ourselves up by our own bootstraps and making it and not reaching back. That's not who we are. We are a communal people. That's how we made it. And so we need to return back to the old landmark. We need to do that. Find some sisters that you can trust because there are sisters you can trust. The devil is a lie, right? I'm going to get up spiritual on that one, that you can trust one another. So get that support. Journal, read, or just be. Breathe. Yes. Ask the Spirit to lead you to those right places, those the right remedies for the things for your body. And I'm all for some naturopathic ways to do what we're doing. That doesn't mean you might not need some type of medication. Depends on what your doctors or your physicians or your therapist might say. But by and large, let's go back. Our women are medicine women. We found ways to take care of our bodies naturally, right? So find, the teas to drink, the tinctures to do, right? The scents, like we talked about before. Get out in nature, take a walk, let the sun hit your face, right? Movement, dance, play some music and dance like nobody's watching. Release some of that. Those are ways to nurture you and eat well. So let me look back. My niece was saying she has Monday, Mindful Eating Monday, right? If you're following her on IG or Facebook, one of the ways that I've also found is shift what you're eating to support your mental and emotional health because it's all connected, right? So, be mindful of empty calories or too many sweets. I didn't say no sweets. I said too many sweets, right? Because that can help boost your mood too. If you eat some chocolate, some dark chocolate, or a cupcake, or something that is something that you really enjoy, just do it in moderation, right? But eat well, protein, drink water, and rest well. Don't overtax yourself. We are no longer in the season where we need to be running hither and yon and wearing ourselves out. And even if we have those seasons, make sure you schedule in those times where you are resting, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep as best as you can, unless you're struggling with sleep, right? And then talk to your doctor about that. And I'm telling you, getting out in the fresh air, thank God the weather's changing. When you get out in the fresh air and walk, move, exercise, it helps you sleep better as well. And I know there is no silver bullet for none of this, but we can cooperate with this season so that our emotional well-being, we begin to thrive in it just like we want to thrive in our physical well-being. And one of the ways you can find your tribe, y'all, let me go. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna Nope, I can't. I got to do it so I'll make sure you can hear me. Don't forget the Serenity Experience. Well, worthy and worthy and wealthy is coming up Saturday, September 23rd. A uniquely curated event for women in midlife, ready to bring their A game to life, awakened, aware, alive, and authentic. You deserve to be whole and well in your entire being because you are worthy of residing in your wealthy place. I'm so excited. We didn't do it last year. Spirit say no, but Spirit say yes this year. And I'm excited. We're in a new venue. We're going to be at the Pearl Modern Spa in Columbia, Maryland. You can turn it into a getaway, a girlfriend's getaway, because we're also have some rooms at a hotel that just a stone's throw away, the Meriwether Lake House in Columbia, Maryland. Y'all, this is going to be so transformative. It is a transformative gathering. It's going to be a master class in you. More details to come, but you can go to enlightenedwoman.global/serenity, or just go to the enlightenedwoman.global website and hit on the Serenity Experience for more information. It is going to be amazing. I am so looking forward to it. And Friday night is a bonus if you register for the VIP portion. That is going to be our hormone happy hour, emotions, hot flashes, libido. Oh my. It's going to be wonderful. And I'll be talking more about it in the days to come. But the rooms will be gone and no more room rate in July. I'm going to put that date up soon too. So make sure you go ahead and get your room for the Serenity Experience. And I want to invite you to this weekend coming up soon, Juneteenth. Aren't we excited that it is now a federal holiday? Hallelujah. Um, right here in Bowie, Maryland, a Black owned um, business called Ruby Southern Comfort Kitchen is partnering with the city of Bowie doing a Juneteenth celebration this Saturday, June 17th, from 11 to 4 at Allen Pond Park in Bowie, Maryland. It's going to be food trucks, entertainment, stuff for the kids. So bring your kids, your family. It's going to be amazing. One of the things I'm excited about, their theme this year is called the Family Reunion. So bring your family. It's going to be awesome. And this is what I'm excited about, that this year they're doing a Bowie Be Well Community Wellness Zone. Yes, because our health and wealth matters. Our sister in Christ, and we call her a daughter of our ministry, Reverend Rochelle Torrey, is going to be there. But her daughter, Stephanie, who has blessed us on many occasions with our women's events as over the Pampering Junkie, she's coordinating the wellness zone. And there's going to be yoga, there's going to be line dancing, there's going to be workouts, right? There's going to be resources for your health and wellness. And guess what? Meditation. Serenity, meditation, and breathworks is going to be in the house, and we're going to lead us in a meditation as a part of the wellness zone. So come on out and join us this Saturday from 11 to 4 at Allen Pound for our Juneteenth celebration of family reunion, sponsored by Ruby Southern Comfort Kitchen, Black-owned woman from Cleveland. Woo-hoo. And the city of Bowie. Come on, show up, show out, because this is just the second year that they've done it. And the more success we have, the greater support that we have for it to go forward in the years to come. So you'll see on this flyer, I'm going to be posting them soon on my social media as well. So come on out. I'm so excited about that. Thank y'all for joining me. on Mondays in the meditation room as we ask that question, am I the only one? Because I know this season can make you feel like you're the only one going through what you're going through. Well, the answer is no. You know, you're not the only one. And we are walking this journey together like-hearted sisters on this journey to emotional wellness, emotional wellness during the change. Acknowledge it, be okay with it. Show yourself some compassion, caring, and nurturing. Get the support you need. Journal, read, just be, breathe, move, eat well, rest well, and we will flourish in this season during this bridge as we go from one season to the next as our most confident, joyful, healthy, whole, and well selves. Thank y'all for joining me on tonight. Watch the replay, share it with a sister that you know that might be going through this and needs this word of encouragement. But not only that, invite them to join you at the Serenity Experience September 23rd. It's going to start at 2. What I love about this venue is that it is a full service spa. So you can get some spa services, do some movement classes even before we start, before 2 o'clock, and even afterwards. We're going to do a private VIP healing water sessions where it's just going to be us, right? We have a minimum of 25 women to get that done. So I know that's already done. So register and also sign up for the Healing Waters private area. Oh, as a part of it, as an upgrade. And then go ahead and get your room. Spend the night. So you can also do the VIP part and hang out with us on Friday night for our pajama party, the happy hormone happy hour. And I'm excited about it and more information to come. And as we lead up to it, if you register, we're going to also have some gatherings to prepare us for that Saturday gathering of women who are ready to rediscover the joy of being you in midlife and beyond. Have a peaceful, peaceful evening, y'all. Absolutely love you. Thank you for joining me. See you real soon. Bye.